So, Baldur's Gate 3 is a game, or a percentage of a game, released by Larian in 2020. Ever since I got my hands on Baldur's Gate 3, there was always one class I wanted to play. But, unless I used mods, Barbarians didn't exist in these lands. Until now. With the newest patch 7 just being released, I thought it was a good time to get back into the game and see what changed. But doing another generic playthrough on my own seemed kinda boring. I wanted to do something special for this new patch, so I came up with an idea. What if I played the game with only my Barbarian doing damage? Sure, my party could be in combat, but they couldn't directly do any damage to enemies. Was it possible? I wanted to find out if you could beat Baldur's Gate 3 with just a Barbarian. So to go through the rules real quick, my party members are not allowed to use any damaging spells or attacks aside from my Barbarian. Healing, buffs, and debuffs are allowed. Shoving, tripping, and any non-attacking moves also count as pass. I know shoving can lead to damage, but that's gravity, not my party members, so it's fine. Yahoo! Since Baldur's Gate 3 is not a finished game, I consider completing it as completing any major available quests and dealing with the most difficult combats in the game currently. Finally, the run's not going to officially start until after the Nautiloid tutorial, since it's mainly scripted and there's something I desperately need Shadowheart's help on. Starting in character creation, I'd initially wanted to make Gotrek Gurnison from the Felix and Gotrek Warhammer series. If you haven't read them, highly recommend. But unfortunately, there's no proper mohawk in the game.
This needs to stop now!
So I had to get creative. I decided on human and started making one of the most iconic barbarians in history. Dave the Barbarian, from the TV show Dave the Barbarian.
Halt, you pestilent pastry! I can't allow you to maim, slaughter, and destroy without the proper permits.
After getting as close to Dave as the limited options could get me, I made his dream girl, that eerily looked like his sister. We start off collapsed on a slowly dying squid plane with a great axe and a dream. I take Dave on a little stroll to get some loot and run into this abomination.
Please. Before they return! They return.
Swiftly purging the strange brain mass, I led Dave outside to get some fresh air as we run to our first companion for the run, Lysel.
Abomination. This is your end.
I do none.
She tells us to kill some basic bitch imps to get to the control room, so we do. Easy game, easy life. Now, I didn't mention this before, but my PC isn't the best. Originally, I met the graphics requirements when the game launched in 2020, but Larian decided to dab on my shitty rig, and now if there's a sparkler shown in the corner of a cutscene, my computer crashed. Ordinarily, this would be fine if you could skip cutscenes, but the escape key seems to not function properly during cutscenes, and remapping it doesn't work. So I'm stuck mashing the spacebar like a rhythm game player and pray my PC can survive this poorly optimized nightmare. Anyway, back on track, we get to the main deck, kill some more imps, and decide to take on an optional fight with an Intellect Devourer and 2 Thralls. Now, Intellect Devourers are no joke, and can easily 1 to 2 shot my team if they get lucky. But they don't, as my autistic screeching causes them to give up and accept death. Now we come to the crux of this tutorial, and one of our major party members going forward, Shadowheart.
You! Get me out of this damn thing! Help me!
Originally, you couldn't save Shadowheart from the pod. But after enough demand, Larian added a magical MacGuffin to free Shadowheart and have her assist you in the tutorial. This is critical because of her spell Guiding Bolt, which not only does a butt ton of damage, but also gives advantage on the next attack made against the creature. The girls have a cat fight, which ends in Lysel using some racial slurs.
Kanyank.
What did you say now?
And we proceed to the final room of the tutorial, where somehow a gang of shitty CR 1/2 imps are able to beat a CR 7 mind player.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Anyways, our real focus is this guy, Commander Zulk. This beefy boy is usually meant as a set piece for you while you kill the basic imps and reach the transponder. But if you're able to beat him, you get his flaming greatsword. And Dave really needs that greatsword.
David, I'm so glad you didn't get your hollow little head bitten off. Now get me out of this stump!
So we hit him with some guiding bolts and... oh. So we keep retrying the fight, and wow, we took a hit from him and survived. That's pretty cool. We win, get the greatsword, and get the fuck out of the tutorial. This is where the run truly starts. No more guiding bolts or Lysel greatsword swings, just a buff barbarian who... why am I missing pants?
Ah, oh, that's hot. That's hot.
So yeah, this was the first major error I was able to record since my computer crashed twice before and took footage. This time, the problem was just the game not loading the world properly, which luckily just fixes itself. I leveled up, gaining Reckless Attack, super good, and Danger Sense, and take my first steps finding a collapsed Shadowheart, who is somehow alive after being cut to pieces by a Cambion.
There comes a giant fish!
No!
I ask her to join the party, which excites her so much she levels up mid-conversation. I try to choose her level up spells, and game crash. So I verify the integrity of my files, relaunch the client, contemplate suicide, and reload my save. This time we're fine, and I remove her damaging abilities for buffs and debuffs, notably giving Shield of Faith to buff my armor class by 2, Protection from Evil and Good to give certain enemies disadvantage, Healing Word for heals, and Bless/Bane for some added chance to hit. The two of us grab some camping gear, a love letter, and engage in our first real battle of the run. 3 Intellect Devourers. Conveniently, they run away when you first spot them, so when combat begins, they had to waste their turns dashing up to me. I one-shot each of them with the Flaming Greatsword and additional rage damage while wasting turns on Shadowheart with Guidance and Invoke Duplicity, which will be a running theme. We loot some corpses and run into some foppish dandy asking for assistance. As the well-natured Good Samaritan Dave the Barbarian is,
At last, I know my purpose in life, to help people!
we try to assist in his Mind Flayer purging, when our spidey sense goes off and we see the albino jerk trying to gut us from behind. He tells us he was just joking, so we invite the trustworthy man back to our camp and continue on our journey. A few feet forward, we find some peasants trying to save their darling daughter from some rocks. We offer to help, but our charisma is shit, so they try to kill us. Not to be discouraged, we push past the peasants to peruse the precarious position of our poorly placed person, and then we kill him. The peasants are understandably freaked out after being controlled by a Mind Flayer and promptly fuck off. We continue down the path to find our second staple party member, Gale, who seems to have discovered eyeliner since the last patch. Not one to judge, we add him to the squad and continue to the chapel entrance.
Oh, shit! Alright!
Cheese.
Sensing potential opportunities to make some friends, Dave tries to diplomatically ask about the ship, but scares the gang away before he can get any info.
Stop! Stop! Please! I beg you! We're going to hell!
Oh well. We go to the door and say the password.
Cheese.
Upon entering, we engage with the bouncer, and I immediately find out that all my party members have Attack of Opportunity on by default. So Shadowheart ruins the run by beating the man's brains out.
I give up, that's it.
I reload and turn off their reactions this time, and knock the bouncer unconscious as an apology for before.
Food! Glorious food! Hot sausage and mustard!
Dun. I love cheese. Dun. Ah!
I kill the next door guard without much issue, and then start playing with turn-based mode. For those unaware, you can switch to turn-based mode in BG3 whenever you want to try and get proper setup before combat, or abuse the AI. In this case, I used it to cast Sleep on some goons while positioning Dave up to the front lines. I soon learned that the AI has improved, and will now shove their own teammates to wake them up. Coupled with me wasting 2 spell slots on Shadowheart by dropping Concentration, which makes me lose the original spell, this fight got a little bit close. Thankfully though, my damage output on Dave is still enough to instantly kill most combatants, so they go down after a few turns. I choose to long rest to fix my poor tactical decisions and spend some time with my party. Gale bullies me, Asterion watches me, and Shadowheart acts like a possessive girlfriend.
What were you two talking about?
You ever hear of shutcha?
We wake up fully healed and progress into the dankest of crypts. We get to the deepest chamber, where another potentially deadly fight awaits.
Fucking normies!
Instantly, I misplay by using Shadowheart's Invoke Duplicity instead of Turn Undead. So now not having that option, I rely on Gale. Earlier, I didn't cover his spells when we got him, but he starts off with this spell called Fog Cloud, which makes a cloud of fog that blind foes inside it. Not great on first looks, but it also makes you immune to being targeted by ranged spells and attacks while in the cloud. And since most of these undead are casters, they spend the entire fight wasting turns casting spells into a fog cloud, while Dave does guerrilla warfare on any they get too close. After one of the enemy AI breaks, I kind of worry the game's going to break down too, but we eventually get control and I finish combat. Funny little side note, if you knock out one of these undead, you can't activate the sarcophagus since the dude inside still thinks there's enemies around. Anyhow, we open the sarcophagus and the Lich bugs out my graphics before asking me some philosophical questions.
Now, I have a question for thee. What is the worth of a single mortal's life? I am sure thou believest as such.
He apparently doesn't like my answer and decides he'd rather blind himself than stay and talk.
Yes.
With that, we finish the crypt and start our journey to the next area. Which means this is the end of the first video. You didn't think I could beat this game in one sitting, right? To be honest, I didn't think things were going to go this smoothly to start. I figured I'd have to reset more than the one time Shadowheart accidentally murdered someone, but no. Reckless Attack and Rage is very effective early game. I'm sure that won't continue, and to be honest, I don't really know what I'm going to do once I get to the harder content, but that's a problem for future me. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like or a share, and stay tuned for part 2 on beating Baldur's Gate with just a Barbarian. Thanks for watching.